Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily. My favorite makeup today is this. This is from Milani. This is the Hypnotic Lights highlighter in the shade Luminous Light, that's 02. I just picked this up the other day and I've been wearing it out. It looks so nice and natural on the skin, but like if you build it up, it looks really very glowy. It reminds me a lot of like a Becca highlighter, but it's much cheaper and you're getting 8.5 grams of product in this. And I think it's like $12.99. So I picked this up at Ulta. You can also get this at the drugstore. I'm loving it so far. And now on to the video. And so today we're going to be looking at this. This is the Violet Voss Rainbow Palette. This retails for $30. You can pick this up at Sephora. And this has apparently 32 grams of product in it. That's right, 32 grams. And this is the exquisite color selection. So like I am all in for this. I saw this in stores and I swatched it, and the swatches are absolutely insane in person. They were sold out that day, but I went back and they did manage to have it. I had tried to order it previously, but it still hadn't even been shipped yet. So I picked this up. I'll just return the other one. I'm really excited to try this out today. So let's get started. So Violet Voss is one of those internet brands I had never actually tried out before because I don't like to buy eyeshadow without, at least knowing the brand a little bit. And I never found one of those palettes that I was super into, though I thought that like the Drenched Metals palette looked pretty. But some of the other ones was like, I don't want a palette full of like reds and browns and oranges. I know a lot of people do, and that's why they buy these, or they buy like Morphe palettes. And I get that, totally makes sense. It's just not something I wanted to do. But this palette, because it's a rainbow palette, and I love rainbow eyeshadow, I was definitely intrigued by this, but I was really hoping to see it in person before I actually picked it up. And then when I did, it was just so impressive to me, I needed to have it because there is a ton of product in this thing. And the payoff just in swatches is amazing. So I'm really hoping that on my eyes, it's gonna be similarly amazing. So I'm really excited to play with it. So I am gonna swatch it for you on my arm so you can see what it looks like. But these shadows are infused with jojoba oil. So they go on very smoothly. They just glide along your arm. So I'm gonna get a swatching on my arm and then I'll show you. All right, so here are the swatches. And the first shade, that pink shade at the top, that is Flamingo. Below that we have Peach. Under that is Buttercup. Then Seaform. I'm wondering if they meant Seafoam, but it definitely says Seaform in this palette. Below that is Fiji. The first deep blue, that's Royal. Then we have Indigo, Violet, Pearl, and Eclipse. So none of them really seem to have glitter in them except for Eclipse. That is definitely a black glitter infused shade. It's like a silver glitter. Everything else does not really have a glitter to it. Most of the shadows go on pretty similarly. They're very smooth and buttery, and they're very creamy to the touch. There's definitely, that's the jojoba infused in them that makes them so easy to glide onto the skin. The exception to that would be Royal. That one's a little bit harder. That's the dark blue here. That one's a little bit harder to swatch on my arm, so I'm curious to see how that will perform. That tends to be a color blue that I always have trouble with. It's the same sort of shade that I have trouble in the Kristen, Leanne, Kaleidoscope Dream palette from Urban Decay. That's the same one that gave me a bunch of fallout. All of the other ones performed very well. So I do want to try that one out today to see how that performs. So I think I'm actually going to take that Seaform shade and take that across the lid. I'm going to do a little bit of Royal and, we'll figure it out from there. I'm curious to see how these will perform with a brush because they glide on so easily with your finger. I'm hoping I get a similar payoff. Okay, it's not bad. Even though this is infused with oils, this does say that it has a shelf life of 24 months. And this is definitely not a palette that has a good transition shade. If you just want to transition with color, you can, but otherwise, you're gonna need a companion palette for this one. I think I'm actually going to swerve a little bit. I think I'm gonna take a little bit of Buttercup. I'm gonna take that on the inner part of my lid. I wanna try tapping Pearl in the center of my lid to see if I get a good shift from that. And then we'll decide what we do with the outer in a little bit. They're not layering as well as I would like. I'm gonna try with my finger and see if that makes it easier. All right, this might just be the palette. You use your fingers to make it better. It's not that it won't go on with the brush, it's just, I don't want to take that long. I want this on my eyes now. That's quite pretty. In the spirit of tapping, I think I'm going to take a little bit of that Pearl shade and try putting that in the center of my lid and see what that looks like. Ooh, very sparkly. That's quite nice. It reminds me a little bit of the electric shade from the Subculture palette that I'm super into. It's got a bit of a green to it. So that's what I've got so far. At this point, anything I do will be overkill, but that's how I do my eyeshadow, so that's fine. I think let's try that, a little bit of that royal in the corner. I feel like I'm sort of recreating a Kaleidoscope palette, and it didn't work that time either, so we'll see if this is any better this time. I feel like this blue, the royal, is a little bit more localized. It doesn't sort of spread out as much as the Kristen Leanne did. The color payoff is certainly not quite as pretty, but I don't think it looks bad. It's just a thing. These shadows definitely do perform better if you use your fingers. The brush takes a little more doing. And I think I'm going to take more Buttercup and run that along underneath my lash line. This does not like brushes nearly as much as it likes being tapped on, but it's buildable. Alright, so now we have my colors. I'm going to go grab some mascara and a little bit of black eyeliner, and I'll be right back. And here is my finished eye look. So I'm really enjoying this palette so far. It'll be interesting to see how well this wears. It is very smooth and buttery, but sometimes that doesn't work so well for me because I have very oily eyelids. But so far I'm really enjoying the palette. I think the color payoff is very impressive. It's not as good with my brushes. It's definitely better with my finger, but that happens a lot of time with like really pigmented eyeshadows, especially on me. So I'm not upset about that. That's something to be aware of. If you don't really like putting shadow on with your fingers, you might not like this one so much, but you may want to give it a try. It may go on easier for you. I think what I'm going to do over the next couple of days is I'm going to do additional looks with this so I can try to use all of the colors on my face. Obviously, I can't use them all in one go. I mean, I could. Maybe I will try that one of these days, but I want to make sure I get a use out of every single color in here. Do you need to get this palette? If you like a good rainbow color and you find this formula pleasing to you, you might want to see if you can swatch it in stores. I would definitely pick this guy up. It's only $30. So far, I do feel like the shadow quality is very nice. I'm a little amused by the fact that Seaform is apparently misspelled, but I'm going to look into that and see if there's anything nefarious going on there. Hopefully not. I did pick this up in Sephora, so I'm assuming that this is, you know, legit and all of that business. Now, I would definitely be remiss in not pointing out the fact that the Urban Decay Kristen Leanne Kaleidoscope Dream Palette is pretty similar to this rainbow palette. I didn't think it was as similar as it was until I swatched it on my arm, and you don't get as many shadows. Well, actually, that's not true. There's a split pan in the Kristen Leanne that does not really have an analogous shade to it, but I don't really have a good pink for this. But everything else you can sort of get a similar effect. They're not the same colors, absolutely, but it's another rainbow palette that you can make a similar situation with. Am I upset about the fact that I have two beautiful rainbow palettes? No. And I also realized that this look is very similar to the second look I did in the Kristen Leanne. And that was kind of on purpose. I kind of wanted to see if it was a similar effect, if it looked the same. It does look very similar. I do know that the Kristen Leanne wears very, very well. I don't know how well these are going to wear necessarily. I won't know that until I test them out another day, because some colors wore better than others, and I will let you know how that goes with the Violet Voss. They're obviously not exact colored duplicates. The closest actually is that dark blue. Those actually are very, very similar. They look almost exactly the same on my arm. Everything else, there's sort of like some subtle differences to it. The two coppers are not the same. The golds don't look the same on my hand. Seaform and the green from the Kristen Leanne, they are not a match at all. The teal's not really a match to this blue either. They're both pretty colors, but they're not exactly the same. I do actually think it would be nice to make a look using both of these palettes. So for me, I don't mind. I love a good rainbow palette. This is for me like other people, you know, have a million nude palettes. I would love to have a million rainbow palettes. So far, I do want to point out that they are similar, but they're not the same. But, you know, I will do different looks with the palette going forward. I'm not going to try to copy all of my Kristen Leanne looks, but I did sort of copy this first one. So I'm aware, you don't need to tell me, I do know that I did that. I did kind of wanted to see if I got a similar effect, and yes, I do get a similar effect. I, at this moment, prefer the dark blue actually from the Violet Voss over the Kristen Leanne. That was the one shade in the Kristen Leanne I didn't like that much, but the one in the Violet Voss went exactly where I told it to go, and it didn't sort of stray outside the line, so I'm pleased with that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content on this channel, please subscribe. If you got a suggestion for a video you'd like to see me do, please put that in the comments down below. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I will see you all soon. Bye!